Thanks for listening to the Lunch and Learn with Dr. Barry, here to help educate, motivate, and put you on the right path to take control of your health through weekly discussions on topics in the medical field, public health arena, and in your community. And now your host, Dr. Barry.
And welcome to another episode of Lunch and Learn with Dr. Barry. I'm your host, Dr. Barry Pierre, your favorite board-certified internist, founder of drbarrypierre.com, as well as the CEO of Pierre Medical Consulting, helping you empower yourself with better health with the #1 podcast for patient advocacy, education, and affirmation. This week, we are going to be talking with Dr. Andrew Barry, who is a board-certified internist and also a second-year GI Fellow, Gastroenterology Fellow. But we're going to be talking about the topic of vaping because that's something that's right along his alley, as not only is the GI Fellow, but he is very well versed in lots of different academic related topics. And we kind of got together thinking, you know what, let's talk about a subject at hand that if you're a smoker, if you know a smoker and you've heard about this, this trend, I don't want to say new, but this trend of e-cigarettes and vaping, right? Like, let's talk about vaping. Let's talk about, what we're hearing in the news about vaping, whether it's harmful, whether it's good for you, who should be vaping, right? So we're going to be talking about vaping on this episode today. And I think it's a good one because it is something that, again, I listened to this episode and I was getting so much education from it. And I know you will too, right? So again, Lunch and Learn community, like always, if you have not done so, please subscribe to these podcasts. Leave us a 5-star review, especially for my Apple Podcast users. Your help is greatly appreciated. And like always, if you remember to share with not one, but maybe 10 friends and let them know how much of an amazing episode this was today, right? So we're talking about vaping. Get ready, sit back for another amazing episode here on the Lunch and Learn with Dr. Barry. One of the sponsors for the Lunch and Learn Community Podcast is the Lunch and Learn Community Store, where you can find t-shirts, sweatshirts, coffee mugs, stickers, and wristbands with the motto, empower yourself for better health. Remember, 50% of all proceeds will go to the 5-Star Scholarship Foundation, where we give out college scholarships to deserving high school seniors across the country. Thus far, we have given out over 20 deserving scholarships to students across the country. So again, 50% of the proceeds will be blessed to the 5-Star Scholarship Foundation. And today you can get the coupon code LUNCH20. You can get 20% off your purchase, and you support these high school students across the country. Again, the Lunch and Learn Community Store is at shop.drbarrypierre.com, and the coupon code is LUNCH20. All right, Lunch and Learn community, just heard another amazing introduction for a topic that I think you are really in for a treat for. Again, when you turn on your TV, you read the blogs, this is definitely something that has been kind of really like on front page news now, right? Especially I work in a hospital setting, and people keep asking me about it. People keep asking me vaping. Like, what is vaping? Like, how dangerous is vaping? Why are so many people dying from vaping? And I figured, hey, you know what? Let's get someone who kind of knows what they're talking about on the subject, right? So again, I want to thank I like to call the real Dr. Barry, right, to talk about a topic. It's so funny because I call myself Dr. Barry, but like it's a funny thing because I've always people like be able to call me by my first name for just some weird reason. I'm not sure why. But they like to be able to call me my first name, but they still wanted to like attach the doctor to it. So I said, all right, sure, I'll be Dr. Barry. But we have the real Dr. Barry, Dr. Andrew Barry, who's going to be really educating us today, Lunch and Learn community, on just what vaping is and just, why we should be really, really worried about it, right? So, Dr. Barry, thank you for joining the podcast today.
No, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. This is definitely a topic that's, hot, and we want to hit the hot topics that are relevant to all markets. So I appreciate you having me on.
So, Dr. Barry, before we kind of get into this amazing topic, like, tell the Lunch and Learn listeners about yourself, who you are, why is this topic, such a hot button topic for you, and then that way we can kind of get into the meat of it.
I'm actually a GI fellow currently. So basically 1 more year of training, and then I'm out in the practice, treating all your stomach problems. But right now, still in training, internal medicine board certified. So obviously something that you're familiar with. You deal with people all the time and, are training the next wave of internal medicine physicians, which is highly appreciated. also did my training, medical school. Some of my rotations were actually in West Palm Beach, where you were.
It's so funny because first of all, lunch learning community, Dr. Barry sent me like his CV, right? First of all, this thing's like 20 plus pages, right? So I'm already like impressed. I'm already impressed at his CV, and I'm seeing some of my former residents like amongst some of the persons. I'm like, how does he know Dr. Kaplan? Like that's what I was trying to figure out. And then I'm trying to like, and I was like, hold on, was he at? Was he at? Well, now it's called JFK North Campus. But like, was he at the time when I was there? And I was trying to go back, and I was like, do I remember? I couldn't remember. I couldn't remember if you were there at the same time I happened to be there, but like I definitely, because like her name just for some reason it was so crazy because I was seeing all of these publications, and her name just kind of stood out. I'm like, whoa, like how did you get over there? How'd she get there?
I mean, it's a small world, but I think you were there when I was there, just like vaguely. So I saw you in passing. I didn't have the privilege to work with you, apparently.
Yes, because I saw some of the posters that were like 2014, so I wasn't sure if because that would have been my last year as a resident. So I wasn't sure like where you were a student that year, or was it like I wasn't sure like if we just hadn't crossed, or it was just kind of like that in passing.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Who knows? Probably both.
So definitely you're definitely well read, right? And like I said again, lunch learning community, I'm not joking. The CV really is like 20 plus pages, right? Just an amazing, just amazing story. And especially for someone who, as a person who does academic medicine, I'm just like loving it, right? I'm like, oh, wow, okay. This is a person who is really, really well read, right? So definitely a person I want to make sure, we get to try to touch on a whole bunch of different topics as we can. And so today we're talking about vaping, right? So, just for those, maybe someone who does not know, right, what vaping is, right? What is vaping, right? Just so for the general community.
So everybody knows smoking, taken off big time in the last couple decades, middle 1950s, 60s, the big social stigma. But ever since, let's say, 2012, there's been a trend toward this new thing called vaping, which is electronic cigarettes. So instead of the smoke, you get the, tobacco coming out. You just get the smoke, the vape. It's a little shot of smoke in the air. It disappears and dissipates. Doesn't smell like tobacco. It's usually nicotine based. Nowadays, they're becoming more THC, cannabis based also. But now it's becoming a little bit more of an issue because there's more illnesses and patients having symptoms that are, arriving from these vaping products.
And what's interesting is because I love how you touched on the fact that it is nicotine based, because I think sometimes people think that if they do the vaping, or is first of all, question is e-cigarettes and vaping, is that like similar, or is that like from a reference standpoint?
It's like interchangeable. So initially e-cigs, a way to wean known adult smokers off of tobacco products, cigarettes. So, but now it's becoming more cool, slang term, to call it vaping. And there's even more other terms for it, but that's kind of what everybody's saying, vaping. So e-cig is kind of like what it was called a few years ago in an older crowd, but vaping is kind of the trendy way.
It's kind of trend now. Okay, perfect. I'll let you touch on that. And I love the fact that you touched on that. It's nicotine based, because I think some people, may confuse the fact that if they're vaping, that they're not getting the nicotine aspect that they would get like in a regular cigarette.
Yeah, in fact, they're actually getting more. Some of the studies have shown that there are actually more nicotine in these products. So, we're used to the patch and the gum to kind of wean smokers off, which is FDA approved, as you probably use in your clinics and in a hospital setting. But the vaping is not FDA approved to wean smokers off. It is just a means to do so for adult known smokers. But the nicotine product content is actually, in some of these products, much higher than traditional cigarettes and or patches or gum.
Wow. So okay, all right. See, lunch learning community. Like again, I always tell you guys that sometimes like I have to learn from my guests as well. So that's definitely some really strange but very interesting thing to hear. The fact that you're not really running away from the nicotine, because it's if it's not more that you're going to get in the vaping aspect of it. Like when did it all start? Like what if you had to how long has this been around? Why is this such a hot topic now? Like what would you say?
Yeah, exactly. So it's been really going, relevant a little bit since 2012, but 2017 is when you kind of noticed a huge rise to the point that over the last 3 years, well, currently this year, there's about 8 million adults using e-cigs or vape products and about 5 million children also vaping, which is crazy because in 2017, so it's 2 years ago, it's 11% of high school students admitted to vaping on a daily, regular basis. However, 2019, so just in 2 years, it's up to 27%. So over two and a half times increase. So 1 out of 4 high school students are actively vaping on a daily basis.
That's crazy. Okay. All right. Especially because you said kids. So I'm thinking like, all right, is it like, 16, 17? Like, so they're getting that young, they're starting to vape?
Yeah, even middle school. So middle school, we're about 5% right now, which is 1 out of 20 middle school students admit to using vape products on a daily basis. And this is also people that admit to it. So as you and I both know, the numbers are actually higher.
Exactly. If our patient says they drink, 2 drinks a day, it's probably closer to 4. Right. So that's definitely a point I agree with wholeheartedly for sure. When we talk about just vaping, like why do you think like this I guess boom, right? And I don't know if we should even be calling it, but like why do you think like this level of popularity just kind of exploded in such a short time frame?
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of like not even much advertising was needed. Multiple hypotheses have been kind of thrown out there. One is social media. This is something that can be spread easily in social media. The market uses social media in the last 2, 3, 4 years. It's skyrocketed. Instagram, Twitter, all the above. And they can do these tricks, these vape tricks. So there's all these YouTube videos, millions and millions of views regarding tricks with the vape, the smoke. They play it to music, EDM music. They have Friday night vape nights where they smoke, vape, and play music and kind of just do stuff like that.
Wow. Like when you say like vape tricks, like what type of tricks are they doing?
They're having some sort of fan product in the room where they huff and puff at their vape and they swirl the smoke around with their hands in addition to music and like EDM, and then they make music videos out of it. I mean, from a third party viewer, it's, not in my words, but it's cool. It's kind of cool looking.
It's, so funny. It's like, I've seen those videos and really never paid it any mind that that's what they were actually doing in those videos. That's like, oh, okay, that's weird. No, in fact, I'll take it back. Like I used to say that's cool too. I used to say like, oh, okay.
Exactly.
Nice.
Exactly. And a couple of years ago when this first started in like 2017, there's principals and high school teachers even coming out now saying that, they didn't even notice these people. They thought it was a USB drive. So one of the main companies, Juul, Juul, which is one of the hottest companies in the last couple of years, worth billions of dollars. You could stick their little vape into a USB drive on your laptop, and it looks like you're charging a USB drive.
Wow.
So no one knows. People are smoking in the classroom. They're actually, the goal, it's not like a cigarette where you, let's say in 1999, you'd go in the bathroom and hide, sit there, you're kind of faking constipation, sitting there for 10 minutes, trying to smoke a cigarette and hide it and spray cologne. Now people are vaping purposely. They try to vape every time a teacher turns their head, their friend takes a picture, they post it, and it goes viral.
Wow.
So it's the opposite, which is kind of, that's why it's.
And do they not get like that smell, like that tends to linger? Like if you're smoking a cigarette, obviously there's like a cigarette type smell. But when they vaping, is that just like not there?
Yeah, exactly. Very good point. So 80% of Juul sales, and which is the best surrogate for the market because it's the best company, biggest company, sells flavored e-cigs. So when you smoke these, they actually smell like fruits. Female student in high school's perfume. You literally can't tell the difference, and it goes away fairly quick. So that's why we'll get to that in a second, but this whole ban to try to ban these flavored products first and foremost.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Like I said, listening community, I am being, educated along with you guys. Cause again, this is a topic that, because I'm an internist, so I take care of a lot of adults. And most of the time I'm trying to get them, I take care of a lot of older adults. So a lot of times it's the cigarettes that I'm trying to get out their hands. So I'm never usually having to say like, hey, like stop that vaping machine. Like I'm never having to say that. So it's definitely, so this definitely seems like a problem that's been kind of, pushed towards a younger crowd.
Correct. And the marketing, the Juul company has specifically said they've never marketed toward a young crowd. They have had some social media promoters, some actors and all that they sort of paid a few years ago. But right now they are currently not marketing to this crowd. And that is the whole legality issues currently going on with this company and all the other electronic cig vaping companies. The government is warning and trying to prevent any sort of marketing to a younger crowd. That is the number one topic right now.
Now, like, are they? And again, I'm naive to this topic. Like, are kids able to buy these things? Like, is there not like an age requirement? Like, how are so many of these young kids able to get this stuff?
Exactly. So up until recently, most states had age of 16 or 18. But nowadays, about 18 or about 20 of the states have now enforced new regulations saying that you have to be 21 to buy these products. Also, the company, which has been forced upon the company by the government, is coming forth with these age verification systems where they can only sell a certain amount of products, certain amount of refills over a certain period. They're checking IDs stronger. The government is making them do this. They've had to spend $100 million to try to give incentives to retailers to install these new age verification systems.
So obviously, with something that is so popular, with a crowd that will only get older, which means it's going to be a long-term customer. Why has it become such a problem? Like, what has been the catalyst to say, like, oh, we got to like do something about this vaping?
Exactly. So with success of companies, these first couple companies, comes the want from other companies and third parties to create more products so they can get a share of the market. So it is some of these new products mainly containing THC components and usually black market, which means they label it as one certain product, but they actually just use the label. They print it illegally from outside the United States, and they put these third-party products in it that you don't even know what's in the product. And a lot of them have some sort of THC component. But mainly, that's part of the answer to your question. The other half is about in July of August this year. It's a little long answer, but this is very important.
Sure.
In Wisconsin,
I think they need to hear it.
Yeah, I'm from Wisconsin, so go figure. It all started kind of in Wisconsin in July of this year. There was about 6 patients over a 2-month period that they just were wondering, they couldn't figure out their diagnosis. They're these young patients presenting to the hospital. Let's give an example. I have a perfect example for you. July 7th, 18-year-old who ran track, just graduated high school, presented to urgent care with breathing issues. She had an x-ray with some infiltrates. She was sent home with antibiotics. She never got better. She came back in a few days with chest pain. She couldn't breathe. She had shallow tachypnic breathing. They gave her oxygen, and she actually became worse. She was admitted to the ICU. She became oxygen mask dependent, almost intubated. In the end, they had 5 other cases like this, about 6. And the doctors were confused, wondering what's going on. They frantically reviewed all the records. And the only thing that the patients had in common was a history of vaping. They're all young. Now, Illinois, the neighboring state, had similar issues also. And the first death ever reported from vaping, ruling out all other causes with full vaping history and objective data, was in August in Illinois.
Interesting.
And that's what triggered it all. Once you heard the word death and vaping, then every newspaper every day since August has had multiple stories, as you probably are aware.
Well, I mean, to the point where even when I started doing a little bit of research for this discussion, I could just literally I just type in the letter V, and it already knew that I wanted to talk about vaping. Like, it was just like Google's like, oh, you must want to talk about vaping real quick. Like, it was like fun facts about vaping. What do we about vaping? E-cigs, like everything was like, oh, wow. And you're right. Almost everyone's like writing an article now about just this, how it's become such a problem. And I know you touched a little bit on the fact that, this introduction of the THC related products, was that always like a goal in mind? Like, did it kind of start out with like, was it always just to be nicotine, but like the THC folks were like, hold on, we can maybe get in here as well?
Exactly. So nicotine was the original goal, but the culture of America in general over the last 5 years has been more open to the concept of THC for different recreational or medicinal uses. It's still not approved under federal law, but I believe 21 states plus or minus okay it under state law for recreational or medicinal purposes. So obviously it's a free market. The United States is a free market. People jump on it. So they're thinking, wow, we got these vapes going. Now what about, let's introduce some THC? And we know people will try to do it because it's another way to hide or kind of disclose their use of THC product.
So were these THC products, were they also in this flavored, contraption? So it didn't even smell like THC?
Yeah, that's a toss-up topic, actually. The flavored ones are mainly the nicotine. But I think there's some of these third-party companies, like newer players in the market now, that are trying to introduce some sort of flavored THC product to kind of mask that traditional smell that, you may smell as a third-party viewer walking in public.
So now now all of a sudden the microscope is on, right? And now we're like really, going in on like vaping and everything else. So of course I'm gonna be the devil's advocate, right? Like is this right an overreaction, right? So I think we should start there because I already know there's someone listening who vapes and they're like, no, my vaping is great. Like, no, I'm never letting the vape go. Like, so there's going to be someone here who's going to be like, no, they're just over exaggerating, right? Is this an over exaggeration or is this something we really should be worried about?
Very good point. I think there's a small component of over exaggeration because you're so toned into this now. So, you see somebody in the hospital, you rule everything else. Now you have an easy scapegoat. Oh, they vape a lot. They vape daily. Must be that causing their lung illness. Or maybe they got an infection. I had a patient that had a mycoplasma positive infection that told me, quote, I've vaped more than anyone else you'll ever know, end quote. So I'm like, okay, it must be that. But yeah, so they actually made a formal definition of probable cases of vape or probable component or for sure objectively determine this diagnosis. And a confirmed case describes someone who has vaped in the past 90 days presenting with haziness or opacities in their chest scans and no signs of infection or other plausible diagnosis. So that's their CDC's official definition. But I agree with you. There's definitely going to be over-reporting now, and we need to find. People are frantically finding. You can see when you do your article search over the last 24 hours, there's institutions and academic centers just trying to do all these tests to figure out some sort of objective way of what is actually causing this. Is it the vape? I have a feeling it's actually, the traditional Juul product may not be the issue. It's just these THC-laden third-party products that are being intertwined or switched over with not really marketed and monitored products. So I think there's just something, like the component of like spice, the drug that sometimes people take. It's kind of like it's like a grab bag. You don't know what you're getting.
No question, especially because I know we talked a little bit. I know we're getting on the Juul, and like now is Juul like the same phrase when I think about iPod. Like there's a lot of MP3 players, but then like the standard we always think about is iPod. Like is Juul like the main like maker of like those devices, or is there like different ones, but Juul just happens to be like the big dog?
There's different ones, but Juul is the big dog. It's so big, in fact, that the two major tobacco companies, Altria and Philip Morris, bought a huge stake in Juul last year. They paid like $12 billion for a 35% stake. And Philip Morris did a similar thing this year. However, they're even going to merge, but because this whole new vaping issue, they called off their merger in the last couple of weeks on Wall Street. So
this topic Juul, is really
this is huge. This is huge. This decisions and these vaping illnesses and deaths have actually changed stock market prices drastically. 2 CEOs have quit in the last 2 weeks. It's a very volatile market per se.
So right now we don't really even have a direct, causation of why it causes a problem. We know it causes lung damage, but we're not necessarily sure like how it even does that.
No, the best objective scientific, as something that you would be you'd read in a journal, which I'm sure you do all the time, came out about October 2nd in New England Journal. So that's 6 days ago. It took 17 patients that had lung biopsies that have confirmed cases. So as of right now, today, there's about 1,080 confirmed cases of vaping-related illnesses or vaping-related lung illnesses, and 19 confirmed deaths. So they took 17 patients. Most of them are men. Median average age was 35, and they all had a history of vaping. And 3/4 of them are with marijuana or cannabis oils. And they actually got histology from the lungs to see what's going on at a molecular level. And they kind of just had a vague answer. There's no real one thing going on. They see that there's edema, there's possibly organizing pneumonia, and there's sloughing off of the epithelial cells at the lung level. But there's no one finding, and they couldn't trace it to one product. That's the problem. The people in the CDC think it just might be one or two bad apples in the group. But that is the best objective study to date. Just came out in the last couple of days.
So when you had that in the Lunch Learning community, we'll definitely make sure we put a link to that journal article so you can read that yourself and get educated. When you have something like that, right? When you have something that we don't really know how it causes the problems. So of course, again, I'll be the patient. Dr. Barry, how do I avoid this? If you can't even tell me how do I avoid?
The easiest answer, the easiest answer is stop.
Yeah.
So the CDC is actually, they're not telling people, they're telling people to stop, but the polite way they're saying it is, should stop in the meantime until we know what's going on. So a lot of these electronic cigarette users, aka vapors now, because it's a cooler term, studies have shown that it's been somewhat success for smokers, that have weaned off. As you probably have, you don't recommend it maybe, but you're okay with it. That's how kind of a lot of physicians feel. Because smoking obviously causes worse.
Someone will say, well, are they in totality, are they better than regular cigarettes? Are you telling me, Dr. Barry, that I should go and smoke regular cigarettes again?
Patients have said that. I had a patient today that literally said, I asked a history and I wanted to get more vaping questions. And he said he was 50-pack your smoker. He's like, at least I don't vape. That's the bad thing for me.
Right. Because unfortunately, we know how patients think. I already know I got someone who's probably listening to this I think they're telling me that I should just go back to the regular cigarettes. So no. Are we saying that? Are we saying they should go back to the regular cigarettes until this vaping thing goes around? But that's. And again, I wish this was a facetious question, but I'm 100% sure someone is thinking that.
Correct. And I think the best answer to suffice all parties would be, if you're relying on this to wean off cigarettes and to keep you off cigarettes, I'm not going to adhere to or support this decision, but I would be okay with continued vaping products. However, I would highly caution against anything THC or cannabis-based vaping product, especially sold online or at small retail stores not regulated with a license in a licensed state. But a lot of people are getting these online because a lot of states don't have it, and the demographic is the younger person, and they're all online people trying to do stuff under the radar.
Right, without their parents and guardians knowing anyway. Mm-hmm. So what better place to do this than order it, through the internet. So, mm-hmm. so what tips would you give for now us, right? Again, a person like me, I'm being educated, but so what tips would you give a person in the health field that needs to kind of understand the importance of this vaping topic and how to talk to their patients and I guess get them to quit or just get them to kind of especially to stay away from the THC related products if anything?
Yeah, it's a very valid discussion point right there. I think you just tell them the facts. So if you tell them the facts, it's such a dynamic thing, and tell them that you're staying on top of it. I feel like every physician should at least stay on top of the subject since it's so popular. I'm a GI physician, and I've had consult cases that I think related to their THC-laden vape products, after ruling out everything else. I had one or two in the last couple of months, I feel. But I think telling them the truth and let them know, be honest, and tell them that we don't know. So why would you want to take something that's such sketchy that you don't know what's actually happening currently? I think the best thing would be tell them they should be stay up to date, and we should all just work on this together to figure out what's actually causing the issues. Obviously, you want to caution to decrease their usage overall.
Especially the THC. Like, I guess I gotta ask the question: is there any THC that I can do vaping? Like, is there any that like have been federally stamped and given the okay, or should I just be really staying away from all THC related products right now?
Personally, I would stay away from all of them, but I think there is the states that have traditionally been selling the THC in their, especially the medical aspect, physical stores that have been doing it for a while, and that it's kind of a tricky subject because it's not really regulated. So I wouldn't do it. I know the numbers are small. So you look at all the people that vape, across the country and the world, and you're saying, okay, only 19 deaths.
Exactly. And of course, and people always, well, like only 19 people.
Exactly. There's 19 people that got in a car accident, today. But these are young, healthy people. That's the thing. Okay. I mean, these are people that shouldn't be getting sick, shouldn't be getting the ICU. There's kind of gruesome photos online, if you Google them, of kids on ventilators. Even one kid holding a sign that when she got extubated, I want to start a no vaping campaign. It went viral.
Oh my, this is definitely a topic. So I got to ask, right, where, especially in your professional career, where you're at right now, like, where do you see vaping going from here? Because you're saying, you got CEOs dropping out, you got, people losing a lot of money because of, this, I guess, this, I don't want to call it a roadblock, but definitely this bump in the road. Like, where do you see vaping going?
Well, on September 11th this year, President Trump wanted to ban vaping. Everybody's trying to focus on banning flavored vapes because that's targeting those younger people. Mm-hmm. That's like the main target of their goals.
Oh, so is it that the younger people aren't doing the non-flavored ones, or is it just most of the time if it's flavored? Yeah. I
think they're getting them hooked. I think a lot of them start on the flavor and then they advance or progress to the THC ones. 80% of Juul sales are flavored. So the government is trying to hit the Juul market by stopping their flavored, and they think if they can do that, they can stop the overall trend. My personal opinion, from an economic standpoint, is that this whole regulation, they probably will trace it to a couple companies, maybe a couple chemicals, and that will wean out those companies and chemicals. And I think it actually may make Juul stronger because they don't have any THC products. It's all nicotine. So once they prove that their product is safe, I feel like a lot of kids will go back to it.
Wow.
And it may get a little bit worse. That's my own opinion, though.
Right. And I know, especially because I know you talked about like almost 3/4 of it being THC related. So we still got like that 25% that, the nicotine, related issues are kind of still happening as well, too.
Correct. Or inhalational issues. Yeah, or inhalational. I think some of these are having heat or caustic burns to the lung, sort of like a chemical pneumonitis. So that's on the differential. Yeah, so the heat might be an effect also, but 3/4 of them, it is surefire 3/4. I've checked all the numbers. 3/4 are usually men, 3/4 are usually younger, under the age of 35, and 3/4 are usually THC, some sort of derivative. So those are like the unhappy triad of things to avoid.
First of all, Dr. Barry, I wanted to thank you for really educating us and educating, especially me, on a topic that is, like I said, as popular as it has been. Again, it just I felt like it just kind of popped up out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden, I see this crisis in almost every article that I read. I'm like, okay, all right, they're talking about vaping again. Nope, they're talking about vaping again. Nope, review article. Oh, what about this? Oh, opinion article. Like everything just kind of like popped out of nowhere. So thank you for helping enlighten us for such an important topic at hand that really does not seem to be, I guess by your words, does not seem to be going away anytime soon.
No, I think it's just heating up, literally.
So before I let you go, I always love to just kind of really spotlight our guests. And like I said, I talked about it a little bit, especially in the beginning, of the fact that you got a CV that's 24 pages, but like tell people about yourself and where can they find you, and what's next for you, because like I said, I know you got about a year and some change before you're out here, but like clearly You're doing some things that, I would love for our Lunch Learning community to be able to kind of follow along. Tell us about your social media, any other adventures you may have coming up soon.
Yeah, I appreciate you letting me on. Basically, I'm not sure. Keep an open mind. Just like the stock market, diversify your portfolio. You never know what opportunity you're going to get or what's going to happen. Obviously, you never know. Obviously, I'm set for medicine. I'm probably going to do private practice, but academic kind of twist to it. I like to publish on a lot of topics. A lot of my publications are not on the same topic.
Mm-hmm. All right, which I noticed. I was like, wow, you were very wide range with it too. I was like, okay, right. So he's not even, because especially I know my fellows typically tend to be hyper focused. Like, oh, okay, you probably did a whole bunch of GI stuff, and I'm like, oh no, that's not even the case.
Yeah, like some of the hot topics, I like to hit because I think why talk about men 2A syndrome when you're going to see 5 this year? Might as well talk about vaping when you're going to see 5 this hour. So I don't know. Social media, I'd like to follow a lot of things on Instagram, Dr. PubMed, just something funny, fitting, I guess. Twitter I use sometimes mainly just to catch up on literature, but mainly Instagram story. People want quick things, as you do on your page.
Mm-hmm.
You got a lot of links, a lot of quick things. It's an impatient market out there.
Yeah.
You got a couple seconds.
You're right. Especially for attention, you gotta like snatch their attention. Like, hey, stop here real quick.
You got to mix audio, video. You got to mix links. I don't know. You just got to keep it hot. No one wants to read about the same stuff. So that's the fact that you do all these podcasts and different people, different subjects, kind of keep the viewers on their toes.
Perfect. And again, we definitely appreciate your efforts. So again, remember, Lunch Learning community, all of his links will be in the show notes as well. Definitely follow him on. And I know I know you were talking about a YouTube page as well too. Like you have a YouTube as well.
Yeah, the YouTube page. I have a lecture that I gave on similar topics. I put it on YouTube. It's got video, audio. I got a little bit of everything. You got to hit all the markets.
And remember, listening to me, if you like to watch videos, he's got stuff for you. If you want to just kind of read, he's got a lot of stuff to read. Like I'm telling you, again, I'm not being facetious. There's a lot of stuff to read if you want to read. In fact, I was very interested, and I have to go read on the online symptom checker one. Like I was like, oh, that's a very interesting. Like that's a topic.
That's one of the topics I really like too. I have done some TV stuff for that, and it's kind of similar to vaping. It's a hot topic.
And what made you do that? Before I let you go, what made you think like, oh, you know what I mean? Let me tackle that.
Because everybody, just like you and I know, everyone every day you're going to see somebody that comes and says, well, I looked it up online, WebMD, this and this. And we all have the same reaction internally, a little different externally.
Yes.
But it just made me want to do it. And I just checked the accuracy of these symptom checkers, and let's just say it's not good.
Not good. I love it. Yeah, and you hear it here, Lunch Community. Please don't go to WebMD and all these other places and click a couple buttons and then come and tell me you have cancer. I don't want to hear it because WebMD is always gonna sell high because they don't want to be the ones to say like, oh well, we told them they had cancer. They didn't believe me. It was just a migraine. Like that's all it was.
Exactly. And now I guess right now a new study we could do. Hopefully one of your viewers may want to do this. You can check these symptom checkers now for vaping. See if that's in the differential.
Ooh, very. Ooh. It's so funny. Because as we talk about it, I have not had one of my residents throw that in the differential. I have not
Yeah. You can tell who's listening to your podcast now. Yeah. So hopefully whoever does is definitely a listener.
Exactly. So again, Dr. Barry, thank you for really putting us on game, putting the word out there. This is something that everyone needs to know, and we'll make sure that happens of such an important topic of vaping as it is.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate your time.
Thank you for getting to the end of the show. I am your host, Dr. Barry Pierre, host of the Lunch Learn with Dr. Barry, and this is another amazing episode that we like to bring to you week after week on betterment of empowering yourself for better health today. If you have not had a chance, please go ahead and subscribe to the show. If this is your first time listening, if you already listen and you've already subscribed, make sure to leave me a 5-star review because your support is absolutely important in keeping the show moving as it is. And if you have not had a chance and you want to check out today's show notes, always head over to lunchlearnpod.com. That is lunch, learnpod, all in one word.com, and you can get the access to my show notes for every single episode, but especially the one you just listened to. And I'm going to see you guys next week. You guys be blessed. Bye.